This week on The Destination Angler.
I had a client get like a 43-inch a couple weeks ago, and he's like, "I'm on a log," and I'm like, "It's pulling the boat, dude." I'm like, "That's not a log," and he's like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "Slack up on that line and watch it run really fast." And once he got the fish in, it was sort of funny because he's like, "I can't hold it." A striper will definitely change anybody's life if they've never caught one on a fly rod.
And that was Jason McReynolds on the South Holston River. Hey, if you like the show, please hit that subscribe button and share the podcast with a buddy. Welcome to the Destination Angler Podcast, the podcast for anglers who travel. And I'm your host, Steve Haigh. We go right to the source, the local guides and experts, to build your knowledge of top fishing locations around North America. It's a big world out there. Now go and fish it.
I'm going away for a while, but I'll be back soon. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Hey anglers, welcome back to another episode of The Destination Angler, brought to you by Adamsbuilt Fishing Gear, the trusted source for quality fly fishing gear built to last at an affordable price. And by Anglers Coffee, fueling your next cast with amazing coffee delivered to your doorstep one batch at a time. Use Brew20 and receive 20% off your first subscription order. By Got Fishing, crafting world-class fly fishing adventures specially designed to your level of experience and budget. And by Trout Routes, the #1 fishing app, helping trout anglers avoid the crowds and explore new public water. Download it in the App Store today and get 20% off using promo code DESTINATION20. Up next on the Destination Angler, we journey across Michigan's Upper Peninsula to explore one of the best-kept secrets in North America. Then we travel out west for the Big Daddy, the Bighorn River, and let me tell you, the Bighorn is back in a big way. And be sure to backcast to catch the last episode on roosterfish in Baja, Mexico with expert saltwater fly angler and guide Jeff Fezco and professional chef Josh Schwartz. Jeff and Josh have combined forces to offer the finest in fly fishing and food, along with the adrenaline rush of roosterfish on the fly from the beach. You won't want to miss these shows. Want to be the first to know about new episodes? Well, head on over to the Destination Angler website and sign up today. And today, our destination is the famed South Holston River. And our guest is expert fly angler and guide Jason McReynolds, owner of Fly Fishing Soho Guide Service, Johnson City, Tennessee. The South Holston is considered one of the top tailwaters in the country, known primarily for trophy brown trout and stripers, but also world-class hybrids and smallmouth. Jason has been fishing these waters all his life and guiding since 2015. Using a streamer fishing strategy that has been dialed in over 30 years, Jason and his wife hold several IGFA world records. Today, Jason shares stories of bait balls and stripers, browns and broken rods, and why the hot water line is your key to success. He also reveals his top fly patterns such as the kitchen sink, fried okra, and Little Dixie, plus stories from his motocross racing days and why you don't want to skimp on a helmet. Jason's website says he consistently puts clients on 30-inch browns and 40-inch stripers. But can he back it up? You be the judge. Let's hear from Jason. Jason, what's happening, man? Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, it's a pleasure. You and I have been talking for a long time. Matter of fact, I think the original plan was for me to come down there and do some striper fishing with you, but that just, I don't know, just didn't work out. But I'm glad we could do it this way.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right, folks. So the South Holston, one of the top tailwaters, maybe in the country, for sure in the Southeast, right? It's a trophy brown trout fishery, but this man here is also pulling some big stripers out of there. He's going to tell us how he's going about brown trout, striper fishing, and a few other things. Let me see, Jason, you were born in Piney Flats, Tennessee, and I looked that up. It's close to Johnson City, Tennessee. And if you haven't heard of that, think Darius Rucker Wagon Wheel. Good song.
Yes.
You started fishing, did I get this right? You were 4 years old with your dad on the South Holston?
Yeah, we actually used to go like fish the river with just rooster tails and worms, which of course I'm 49 and nobody on that river right now knew anything about it then.
Yeah. You were catching brown trout back then when you were a little kid?
You caught brown trout. You just caught like some smallmouth and some things like that.
Oh my gosh. And so, all right, 2000, you started fly fishing. I'm going to get into what got you into fly fishing. You got a drift boat in 2008 and started streamer fishing. I know there's a really big story about why you're a streamer guy. And then you started your guide service in 2015. Thank goodness for all of us. And this is what I love on your website. It says consistently putting clients on 30-inch plus browns and 40-inch plus stripers with a streamer fishing strategy that has been dialed in over 30 years on these rivers. So we're going to hear about that, folks. How about that? And Christy, your wife, is also quite an angler. And she's got, how many world records does Christy have?
So she holds only one right now, but she's got the hybrid, which is the white rock. She's held the striper, and she's held the brown trout twice.
Okay. All right. And this is IGFA stuff, right?
Yes, sir. They're all length records.
Okay. So it's length. So how does that work then? You have to have like, there's special rules and regulations, right?
You have to use certified tippet, and it can only be so long. You can only use like one fly depending on your species. You have to have a specific measure. Depending on which record you're going after, you either have to, you can, which we don't weigh the fish because they're all length records, so we don't
Yeah.
have to worry about getting on planet Earth. So we just picture the fish and you measure it on a certified measure from IGFA on the boat. So you got 3 pictures of it, and then a picture of the angler holding the fish, and then a picture of the angler with the rod.
And then you throw it back. You release these, right?
You have to have a picture of the fish released alive. You have to have a video of it, or it's void now.
Really? I love that. So this is a way to set world records and let them go. And maybe somebody's going to catch that fish in a year or two and it's going to be even bigger.
Yes, sir.
That's super cool. So which one of these records sticks out in your mind the most? Because you were her guide for this, right?
Every fish, every record she ever got was with me. Honestly, I'm the only person other than Russ Madden, I'm the only person she'll fish with.
Is that right? All right. So I want to get back to Russ Madden in a minute, but tell us about one of these world records because there's some really great stories behind these.
So they all really stand out on their own because it's really a lot of people are going to say, yeah, right. But so the gentleman that taught me everything about the records is Ken Tanaka. He's very thorough about everything he does. And that's why I know so much about the records, was because he was like, this is how it has to be done. He knew the length, the everything in the tippet from knot to knot. So that's how I learned, basically, was every record we've got. We literally woke up that morning and was like, we're going to go catch this record. And so that makes each one special because our brown trout, Ken had been here for a couple of weeks and tried to get it, and it just did not work out.
So you knew of a big fish and you were targeting this fish? Is that what you're saying?
No, so we just go to, we got specific spots where only I guide, and we're fishing so low in numbers. If you get a fish, it's going to be a big fish. So basically, we just went to this one spot on the South Holston, and we were going after the brown trout, and our third cast, she got it. And I mean, it's not a big fish. It was only 25.5 inches, and the
Okay.
record was 22 inches. And so it got tied. So then we in private water in Boone. So then we were like, we'll go to, then we got a 27 3/4 inch. And I figured the brown trout would be broke overseas with like a number that's unobtainable. And it was broken chilly, and we'll break it this year. It's still obtainable for us.
You're going to try to break, okay, because you're catching 30-inch browns, but you're just not all rigged up to get the with the right equipment for the record?
Do what now?
Yeah. So but you've caught 30-inch browns, right? So how come they're not in the record books?
So when we got our 34-inch brown trout, that's an incredible fish.
Right.
He deserves more than that. I can't. We were like, you know what? We just set him against the gunnel to see how big he was. We took a picture and let him go because he's been in the river too long and he deserves more than that.
Good for you.
And the bigger fish that we've got a lot of 32s, we've got a lot of 30s. We weren't looking for the record then.
Yeah.
So, that's the day we were looking for the records. That's really what we caught. Just that's the way it works.
How about that? And what about that striper? How big? Well, how big? Tell me about some of your bigger stripers. You're getting some really nice ones, aren't you?
Yeah, she's getting I think her best is 48. That's a big striper.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, her world record was 36.
Okay.
So when you've got that measured stick and that tippet on, it changes everything.
Yeah. Well, how so?
Because you've got to. So when you're just fishing for big fish, and even with clients, you don't have a number you have to meet. So it's totally different than once you tie on specific tippet and specific, you have that measure on your boat. The rules change because you're targeting a specific number, and it just changes everything.
Changes it, yeah. So what was the fight like with that striper? Because I remember I interviewed Christy on the podcast a year or two ago, and she told me about it. But I'm wondering what you recall.
They will pull my jet boat like it's nothing. It's really crazy because one of my jet boats, I oar it, and one's got a trolling motor, and it's really crazy. We're fishing 20-pound test, and they will take it. Obviously, once they get into the current, and your boat's in the current, you're gone. But so once you get so far down, and we fish the lower of the river, so once we hit the lake part where it's still, man, they will drag that boat like it's nothing.
Really? All over the place, huh?
And it's only like a 5-minute tops fight, but it's still astronomical.
Oh my gosh! All right, and you had a rod that a fish broke in half recently. Is that right?
Yeah, it broke in 4 places.
In 4 places, it was what was the weight of the rod?
8 weight.
And what were you fishing for? What was on there?
Striper.
A striper broke an 8 weight.
It broke the tip. The next section, it just kept. It was like a ladder buckling over. It was crazy.
Like in one, just boom, 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 right down the rod.
Yeah.
Did anybody get hurt?
She stuck her hand up to keep the last part from slapping her face, and where it splintered and cutting her. It cut her hand really bad. And she wears gloves when she's fishing for striper because they smoke your gloves.
Really? Yeah, she told me it burned her hand. Matter of fact, I was asking Christy about the difference between that big brown trout, a big one that she caught, and the striper, and she said there just wasn't a difference in terms of the fight. That the stripers just are so much stronger.
It's like a log, sort of. Once I had a client get like a 43-inch a couple weeks ago, and he's like, I'm on a log, and I'm like, it's pulling the boat, dude. I'm like, that's not a log. And he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, slack up on that line and watch it run really fast. And once he got the fish in, it was sort of funny because he's like, I can't hold it. And I'm like, I'm going to tell you just like I tell my wife. I'm like, it deserves a credible picture. So if you can't hold it, I'll hold it, and you can take the picture of it. I'm like, if she can hold it, you can hold it. And he struggled, but
he held it, huh?
A striper will definitely change anybody's life if they've never caught one on a fly rod.
It'll change your life. That's what Christy said. I've told a lot of people that. I think that's awesome. Man. All right. Well, here's where I want to ask you, kind of start out here. So this part of Tennessee, so you are in northeastern Tennessee, right?
Right.
And there's a bunch of places to go fishing up there, isn't there? Can you kind of talk about the broader area a little bit?
So we're very fortunate. I mean, because when the rivers are low, we just go to the lakes. And I mean, you've got South Holston Lake, you've got Watauga Lake, you've got Boone Lake, and you've always got something to fish for. Like, the lake trout that you catch.
Lake trout down there?
Oh, yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
So, I mean, they're browns and rainbows, but they're just Lakers. And man, they're 30s. They're
Okay, you're
really
talking
good.
about, all right, browns and rainbow, not lake trout like the species. They're just big
They're
trout in
like,
a lake. Okay,
yeah, yeah,
I got you. So you can go lake fishing.
yeah.
Yeah. What like the Watauga is another river you can fish? Tell me about that a little bit.
So, our tailwaters, we have the South Holston and Watauga.
Yeah.
So many people want to fish the South Holston just because it's famous, but man, we've got so many 32-inch brown trout on the Watauga. It's not funny.
No kidding. That's a good one too. Okay.
It's an incredible river.
Hey anglers, if you're on the hunt for fishing gear that's as tough as you are, look no further than Adamsbuilt Fishing Gear. Since 2014, Adamsbuilt has been the go-to choice for anglers who demand quality without breaking the bank. Their lineup of lightweight waders, high-quality nets, and meticulously designed fly boxes is second to none. But here's what really impressed me. Adamsbuilt stands behind their products like no other. Every single item is guaranteed to last. Yep, you heard that right. And get this, Adamsbuilt waders even come with a lifetime repair replace guarantee, with you only paying for shipping. Now that's a deal you can't beat. So why settle for gear that won't last? Make the smart choice and gear up with Adamsbuilt Fishing Gear today. Ask your local dealer for Adamsbuilt or visit www.adamsbuiltfishing.com and tell them Steve sent you from the Destination Angler podcast.
We are a coffee company. It's quite literally what gets us up in the morning. The smell, the taste, the ritual.
It's been a long time since I left you.
At Angler's Coffee, we take care to ensure that the beans we use are the highest quality, ethically sourced and chosen to be delicious from the roast to your cup. French press, drip, pour over, espresso, or steeped, we have something for you. Come taste what we've been up to. You deserve it.
If it seems I've lost connection, don't send letters and don't pick up the phone.
Be sure to use coupon code BREW20 for 20% off your first subscription order. So how's the Watauga? Is it similar or is it really different? What's it like?
So the riverbed is different as far as it's got more like limestone rocks in it. It's narrower and it's longer. There's 3 really dangerous sections, 4 probably, depending on your skill of rowing, because you got B Cliff at the top, then your next section that would be rough. It's not really rough, it's just a huge curve would be at like a Carter's Mansion, and if you don't get it right, you're going to hit the bank. And then, obviously, they say Sycamore Shoals, but the ledges behind Kleinholder, I would say, they're harder to go through in my jet boat just because there's only one chute and you got to get it perfect or it's going to be a bad day. And then you got Chicken Charlie's.
All right. The fish numbers are different in the 2 rivers, right?
Correct. So there's like they say there's 8,000 per square mile on the Soho. I'm not really sure on the Watauga, but it's a lot lower.
Okay. So you notice that as an angler when you're fishing these two fisheries, then, huh?
Oh, the South Holston, the upper South Holston is there's a lot.
I mean, do you see like pods of them?
Oh, there's all over the place.
Like visually, you see them.
Yeah, they're smaller, but yeah, you can see like pods. You can watch them rise. Like you watch these people's river reports, and they're on the side of the river, and the fish are like rising like crazy behind them.
Wow, it's pretty good. All right, so you fish from a jet boat. Why is that?
So the way we fish is I go straight to where the bigger fish typically are, and we fish and just we chase the bigger fish.
So you can go from spot to spot in a day, then.
Actually, if you not promoting myself or anything, but
Go
the
ahead.
way the way I typically do it is so like we'll put on the South Holston, we'll fish for a little bit. If the fishing isn't good, we'll go to like another spot. If it's not good, we'll load my boat up. We'll go to the Watauga. We'll try a couple of spots. Just because of the way I sell my trips are basically I look at people and I'm like, you can either go up top and we can tie on a small Crelex, you'll catch a lot of fish, or we're just gonna chase one bite. And if you miss it, don't listen to what I say. It's not gonna work out for you. You just wasted a lot of money.
Okay, so if you want to go after the big fish, it may be a one bite day. You may get one great shot.
One shot.
Really?
We're fishing for one bite. That's I know it's crazy, but and if you land that fish, typically it's gonna change your life.
How many clients do you have that have, personal bests with you?
Quite a few. So and the amazing thing is so, you know, I've so many guides from out of state come and fish, and this one in particular, he's a smallmouth guide. It's not the famous one that I'm really good friends with, but he's a good guide. And when he caught his 30-inch trout, I'm like, dude, right there it is. It's feeding. And I'm like, cast to it. It came. He missed it. He's like, I'm never going to get another chance. And I rode back upstream and we sat there and I was like, he'll start feeding again because he was eating these little berry seeds that were falling off the tree. And he started feeding again. And man, he landed that fish and he was just like,
Did he?
there's no way that would ever happen again. And I'm just like, it's hard. It is. I put several people on 30-inch browns. And I put Russ Madden on a 30-inch brown, which was the pinnacle of my career. Unless Kelly Gallup got a 30-inch brown, that's the only way I could ever top that.
All right, so Russ Madden is who?
Russ Madden is a huge famous guy. He's a streamer guy in Michigan. He bought Kelly Gallup's shop, and him and Kelly Gallup are like best friends.
Okay.
And he actually invented the articulated fly.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir. He's incredible to watch fish. Like, I thought we could fish. You watch that guy fish, and you're like, dang.
What does he do? What's the difference?
He was sitting in my drift boat, cast 100 foot, and banked it like an inch off the bank in trees. And I was just like, just the way the line control and he's fishing a fiberglass rod.
Oh, he does.
Yeah.
So line control, anything else you could think of?
He's amazing. Like I said, he listens. It's really crazy because so like a person of his stature, you would think would be like, I know what I'm doing. I don't need to be told, but he listens to your suggestions. And that's what makes it awesome because he's got the talent. You just have to tell him where the fish are and where they're typically in the column at, and he's going to definitely get them.
That's great. And have you taken Kelly Gallup fishing?
No, I wish.
Yeah, is that right? Well, maybe you got to go out to Montana and book a trip with him. He'll take you fishing.
I think Russ is going to try to get him to come out here for some Lakers. He mentioned it, so I don't.
That's cool. All right, so let's talk about the South Holston. Tell us about the South Holston. Like, why are you super excited about the South Holston?
It's my home. They're both my home, but like I said, I've got so many memories on the South Holston. Like I said, I was probably 4, 5. I was standing on the rock in the middle of South Holston. We had a collie named Ginger. She was on another rock, and we were fishing low water, and my dad was on another rock. So they turned the water on, and we didn't know anything about all this. So my dad has to get me to the riverbank and go back, and I'll never forget it because I was like, there's no way he's going to get to her, the dog, before the water gets there. But he actually got her, and I don't know how we didn't drown because the water rises so fast.
Oh, does it?
And we didn't have wading boots back then. We didn't have, I mean, that was probably maybe 79, I'm going to think. So that was before anybody knew really anything. We were just out there having fun fishing.
Tennis shoes?
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's quite a memory. So it's your home water, and then today, like, what do you love about the South Holston?
I mean, I caught the biggest brown trout that I've ever held on it. I've caught the biggest striper that I've ever held on it, and I've caught the biggest hybrid that I've ever held on it, and I've caught the biggest smallmouth that I've ever held on it.
Wow, no kidding. So a lot of big fish come out of there. What's like a typical day?
So a typical day for me, I'm just going to be honest, just depending on what you want to do, you're talking 9 fish is a good day, but they're 9 incredible fish. Unless you want to go like smallmouth fishing, or unless we're fishing for like schoolies on the striper spectrum, because they're smaller and you can get a whole lot more when you get into the schoolies.
Okay. Smaller stripers, but a lot of them.
Yes, sir.
What's a small striper? How big is a small striper?
24, 26 inches.
Is that a pretty good fight?
Oh, you wouldn't think the fish was that small. It's incredible.
Wow. So you think pound for pound they fight harder than a trout?
Oh, they make a trout look like you can't compare them. I mean, they're and we've caught, like I said, we've caught a lot of 30-inch browns, and they do fight, but you can't compare the species. So the thing about the striper is they're like a shark. Like they constantly have to move.
Oh.
So they're pure muscle. They can't sit stationary unless they're in the river. They have to have constant flowing water on their gills.
Oh, no kidding. I didn't know that. With so much information out there, it can get downright confusing and even overwhelming to find the right fishing adventure. Sorting through all the options and fees can be quite the headache. Well, not anymore. I'm super excited to introduce Got Fishing. Got Fishing is a boutique booking agency for world-class fishing adventures around the world. They ensure that you are on the exact fishing trip that meets your skill level, budget, and desired experience. Whether you're a seasoned angler or new to the sport, Got Fishing's personalized service will help you decide which adventure is the best fit for you, your group, or even your business. Worry about fees? Worry no more. With Got Fishing, you won't pay anything extra because their services are entirely free for you. You see, Got Fishing exclusively partners with highly reputable outfitters who gladly compensate them for their services, ensuring a win-win situation. Explore the range of fishing adventures and learn more about the services Got Fishing provides at gotfishing.com. That's www.gotfishing.com. And check them out on Instagram, too. Do you struggle finding new trout streams to explore? Tired of stumbling around country roads looking for access points? Looking to escape the crowds? Then look no further, because Trout Routes has meticulously mapped and classified over 50,000 trout streams covering the entire lower 48, including 350,000 hand-curated public access points marked and ready for you to explore. I'm a huge fan of trout routes because they make it so easy to explore new trout waters. Many times, trout routes has helped me find new public water and get into fish fast. And the good folks at Trout Routes have been busy this winter making trout routes even better. Enter StreamCards 2.0, the latest iOS release that brings together more info at your fingertips by organizing data like stream flows, access laws, nearest fly shops into easily accessible tabs for every river and stream in the app. And now you can check real-time stream height and flow rates with river data from stream gauges and compare those with historical data to spot trends. Pretty cool, huh? Planning a trip? Well, you'll love the advanced filter features that let you hone in on top-rated streams, boat ramps, camping spots, and more. So what are you waiting for? Start exploring today by downloading Trout Routes on your Apple or Android phone. All right. So back to the river itself. So, like, how many fishable miles are there on the South Holston?
Oh gosh, so if you're counting like the proper, which is considered South Holston too, I mean, so in trout water there's 13, but
13 miles. Okay.
of the 13 miles, I only fish probably 3 of them because I fish from, I don't know, maybe 5. I fish from J. Forrest Thomas to Bluff City. That's my favorite spot because you never know what you're going to get. You get smallmouth, you get striper, you can find hybrid, and you can find some really big trout.
Okay. So you like the water. So there's probably a little warmer water than some of the trout water. Is that right?
It's super, super cold until you get to the hot water line. If the water's running, it's past Bluff City Bridge. But if the water's not running, your water line goes up around the pump house in Bluff City, give or take a couple 100 feet.
Okay. When you say water line, what do you mean by that?
Where the hot water meets the cold water.
The hot water. And the hot water is coming from where?
The hot water's the lake and the cold water's
Okay.
the river.
Okay. I got you.
That's where the magic happens.
Oh, is that so that you want to target the hot water line?
The bait stays on the hot water side. The shad is astronomical.
Huh.
And you can, the bait balls, I mean, you throw into a bait ball and it's great because, I mean, we pull carp out of the bait balls. You can pull like 12-inch gizzard shad out of a bait ball. You can pull a massive striper, a massive rainbow, a massive brown trout, largemouth. These F1s they put in, they're like a Florida largemouth crossed with a striper.
Oh.
You can catch those. You can catch the hybrids. Oh, it's amazing.
All right, so an F1. Okay, tell everybody what a hybrid is, and go over that F1 again.
So a hybrid is they took a striper and a white bass, and they created, and in my opinion, the best. They're freshwater tuna. They're incredible fighting fish. They're far better than like I like them better than stripers just because they dart back and forth a whole lot. They let you know definitely they want off. So then they just put in this new strain they're calling them F1s, and they're like Florida largemouth crossed with stripers. And man, they're putting some amazing fish in Boone Lake.
Wow. Those will breed, or are they sterile, or will they breed?
They are sterile.
They're sterile.
They are.
Is a hybrid sterile or the F1 sterile?
The hybrids are sterile, and don't quote me, but I think the F1s are sterile too.
Okay. Oh, super interesting. What's the F1 like to fish for?
They're not like the hybrids because they've not been in there as long. It's a good fighting fish, but once they get up into your 28, 30-inch range, that's where the mass it's going to come into a good fish.
Yeah. Do they jump like a largemouth will?
The F1s do. The hybrids, I've never seen one jump until this season, and a client hook one, and man, that thing was jumping like crazy, and I'd never seen it in my life.
Really? Oh, that's cool. Wow. I'd never heard of this F1 thing. That's a new one. And so the trout, is there any natural reproduction down here? Or
Oh,
is it, yeah.
so the brown trout and the rainbow trout, massive, massive reproduction. There's actually two protected sections on the South Holston, but they go to the grates. That's where they truly spawn. And I don't fish nothing illegal. Nobody's doing anything wrong fishing for on reds. I just don't believe in it. I don't do it. I think if they would leave the fish alone, let them spawn, we would have no reason to stock our rivers ever.
Ha. Plenty of spawning then. That's awesome. So how did the South Holston become such a famous fishery? I mean, you said there were brown trout in there when you were a kid, so they've been putting brown trout in there for a long time. Give us kind of the history.
So, you know, the biggest thing I know the South Holston River for, up through my high school years, the biggest thing on the South Holston was the river rat race. So what they would do is anybody could take 55-gallon drums, tie them together. They would turn the generation loose. You would just everybody, whoever made it to Bluff City without drowning, won. A lot of people drowned, so they
Really?
stopped doing. Oh, it's horrible. They stopped doing it. They don't do it anymore just because of a lot of people drowned.
Yeah. You had to do like a homemade raft
Anything you could get that would float, you could enter in it.
and full like generation, like
Full generation,
everything. And someone
everything.
thought this was a good idea.
Oh, they did it for years. It was huge here forever. And so like they stopped that. So then in high school we figured out that when they turned the generation on, we could take our stand up jet skis and take them all the way to the face of the dam.
Yeah.
And because nobody fished. Very few people fished. It was just locals then. And really, once I started trout fishing hardcore, it had done blown up. I mean, I remember, when I mean blown up, there was probably a handful of guides, and now it's through the roof.
Yeah. What's the answer with that?
So I don't think there is an answer because if you eliminate one, another one's just going to overflow it. And
You mean eliminate a guide service or?
well, like so if you went after if the state of Tennessee regulated out of staters, there's an in-stater that's just gonna pick that up. There's no balance. I'm so mixed on it, and I like all the guides really. I'm on the board also of our guide association,
Oh,
and
okay.
so all our guides, for the most part, are really good guys, and most of them are just trying to make a living. I mean,
Right.
there are some trying to get rich, but they're just way better businessmen, I guess.
I guess. I don't know a whole lot of rich fly fishing guides, do you?
Oh, 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 just Google South Holston, and you'll see a rich one. Trust me.
Is that right? People can
Yeah.
do well up there, huh?
We got one heck of a businessman that is a guide up here,
Huh.
and yeah, he knows what he's doing.
How about that? There you go. Oh my gosh. All right. So can be a little crowded up there, but with that jet boat, are you able to, does that help you avoid some of the crowds?
I stay down low, so
Yeah.
I stay away from like the crowds. And up till about the past 2 or 3 years, if you went with me, if you saw two boats, you were lucky. And then I don't know, the sections I started fishing have been exploited really good, and they're getting actually there was one spot I used to fish that was your best shot at a 30-inch brown in America. I don't care what anybody says. I pulled probably, I mean, Russ Van got one there. His girlfriend got a 28. So you're probably talking 28-inch to 34-inch trout. I probably got 25 plus there. And
Wow.
that's pretty big for I mean, how many people, let's just be honest, how many people hold a 30-inch brown trout on fly rod?
Like nobody. Not me.
I mean, they used to be there, but I don't know. I guess just, I'm trying to evolve more. Like, I was going into smallmouth and then it started happening there. So I'm like, I'm going to regroup and try to figure something else out.
Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about your technique because you're a streamer guy. Let's start there. Some of the other guides are following the hatches and throwing little flies at fish that are rising, but you don't do that. You like streamers. Why is that?
So it's a challenge. Not that dry fly fishing not a challenge, but you can go to like these dams that are dumping out all this shad. And if you would think, you're never going to catch a fish by throwing a fake shad pattern into all that live.
Yeah, bait ball.
Yeah. And if you got it right, it's definitely going to happen. A lot of people say the South Holston and the Watauga aren't streamer rivers, but I've lived here my whole life and on their tailwaters. So obviously there's lakes on the other side of those dams and shad and lakes go together like crazy.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's a bait fish pattern, like, but it's big. They're big. Typically, if you got a huge fly on, you don't got to deal with a lot of little fish trying to feed on it. They do, but I'm looking for big fish. Like, that's all I do.
Is that right? Okay. And wasn't there a story about your wife where she kind of had to fish streamers? It was helping her physically to do that?
So we were in a horrible car accident in 2010, and she got a C2 spinal fracture, the
Jeez.
same break Christopher Reeves has. Once she got so far in her therapy, the therapy in Tennessee is horrible, and we're like, pain management the way you guys want to do it through medication. That's how people become drug addicts. We try not to do that. And so her physical therapist is like, it's a horrible road. And I'm going to say mentor, because he's the one that started the streamer for us. His name's Robbie Coates. He's like, dude, you need to be throwing these big chickens on these 8 weights. And he was really the only guy up here doing it. And I was like, he's like, they're heavier rods, they're weighted. You're using full sinking lines. He's like, there's just far more weight and it's harder to do. And so we tried it and it actually helped with therapy. So
It helped her to cast these big, heavy rods and sinking lines and big flies.
yep.
Super interesting. So the motion of casting and stripping all day long has been therapeutic for your wife.
To this day. So like she has migraines and she still, when she gets a migraine, she goes fishing. She throws 8, 10, and 12 weight rods with a migraine. Most people can't even throw a 12 weight rod for 3 hours. She does it for 8 nonstop. She's hardcore.
Does her headache go away, within how she's on the water for how long? All of a sudden she's feeling fine?
As soon as she hits the water, she's fine. It's really crazy. So it's sort of like I guess you would say, therapeutic place for her. So most
Yeah.
people go into dark rooms, seal everything up, and crawl in a bed. She prefers a river casting big flies.
Well, I've talked to a lot of people where fly fishing has been therapeutic for them. There's just something about it. The rhythm of fly fishing, it's relaxing for people.
It's more than relaxing. I don't know, like I fish so much. I really couldn't imagine life without fishing or guiding. I just had a guy book a trip a couple weeks ago, and he wants to be a guide. He's like, "You seen me fish, man?" He's like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "You don't have to be able to fish to be a guide. You got to be able to teach
Yeah.
people." And I'm like, "If you like fishing, you don't want a guide because that's all you do is let people fish." And I actually was in a bad motorcycle wreck. I used to race them, so my shoulders are hurt. So I don't fish as much. So everybody's like, my buddies fish while I row. I just love rowing. I love being on the water. It's peaceful to me too.
So you can get enjoyment out of watching other people catching fish.
So my backup guy, my understudy, as you could call him, his name's Clay Woods. Man, we were fishing one evening, and I'm like, dude, he exposed himself. I'm like, cast. I'm like, dead drifted, and he's like, bam! And man, it was like the thickest 30-inch brown. It was so thick. Oh,
Wow.
he's like shaking. He's like, dude, that's what, that's what it's about. Like, it's gratifying putting somebody on the biggest fish that they're probably never going to top. That's gratifying to me.
That's super cool. Yeah. So where do you find big fish? I don't mean like mile markers on this river, but what kinds of cover? Like, where do you find them? What do you look for?
So the lower rivers are stacked with them. Obviously, they're banked up, but we cast far. So that's where me and Russ Madden were like basically cut from the same mold because there's so much mid-river structure on the South Holston. There's this one section that I fish where they're like, "Shouldn't we be fishing the bank?" And I'm like, "Nope," because there's a ton of boulders right here, and I'm like, "You're gonna pull them like crazy." And you just you got to know the river, but the structure, mid-river structure, and they're banked up. That's typically where you're gonna find them. Brown logs, it's great because people are like, I'm like, cast there, and they're like, it's pretty tight. If we get a fish, we're gonna get into trouble. And I'm like, well, we'll worry about that when you get the fish, but go ahead and cast there,
Yeah.
and we'll figure that problem
Pull him out.
once we get the fish on.
Do you find these bigger fish are in deeper water, or can you find them in some skinny water?
So where we're in jets, we don't fish much skinny water unless we're fishing for smallmouth.
Okay.
So, but can I can I say names of people that do catch them?
You do what you want. Yeah. Are we going to make anybody mad?
Oh no,
Okay.
I'm probably the worst guy you're ever going to meet because you're talking about catching fish. So we got a guide on the South Holston River. The guys for the South Holston River Lodge. His name is John Stunkard. Man, that kid is amazing. Like he dry droppers, that's his game. Like you said, he catches them in clear water. He's probably one of the most adaptive guides. He'll switch from dry flies, he'll nymph, he'll streamer fish.
Okay.
Man, he's amazing. He catches them in a different water column than I catch them in.
Alrighty. And do you find the big trout are in different water columns, just depending on the day and the conditions, or are they typically in the same?
So in half the sections I fish in, depending on what the shad's doing that's come through the dam. So if it's stunned and it's on the top, just like flipping around, that's where they're going to be feeding. If it's coming through and it's not stunned at all and it's down low, that's the hard part. You just figure out where your bait fish are, and that's that's where you're going to catch it. The way you do that is you cast. You'll do like a 4 count. If you got we fish 6 IPS lines, so you're at roughly 2 foot, and you start doing a count, and when you catch a fish, you'll go at the same count and see if you'll catch another fish. So
Okay.
typically you will. They'll be feeding in the same column.
Are you in slower water where you're having the ability to count like this, or do you have current that's kind of pulling your line and messing up your counts and how deep it's getting?
So even when we're fishing like 3,000 CFS, you do your counts. And you'd be
Okay.
amazed. It's really crazy. So like the most amazing thing about it is it sweeps it.
Yeah.
But that dead drift, everybody's like, no, it's not staying as tight as we'd like it. And I'm like, dude, when they get it on that dead drift, it's you just keep your slack just a little bit. You don't have to strip it a lot. Just keep your
Mhm.
tension out. And that's the main thing. The dead drift and the way we tie our flies, they typically get to the suspension where we want them fast, and that's the key to it all.
Okay. So you've got flies that you've designed because you're tying a lot of your own patterns, right?
We don't fish any. The only Russ leaves some flies, and I'm just gonna be honest. You got to fish Russ Madden stuff because
He's Russ Madden.
yeah, yeah. He's the Dale Earnhardt of what I do. Him and Kelly Gallup are Dale and Dale Jr. And it don't get no bigger.
Yeah. Can you talk about those patterns? Are you willing to share a little bit about those patterns you guys have?
So the main one's like the kitchen sink. She designed all these. They're
The
her.
kitchen sink. The kitchen sink is the name of the fly. I remember that one when I interviewed her a couple years ago.
We've caught so many 30-inch browns. We've caught so many huge stripers, and it's a fish skull, and the way it's designed, it does get deep. So the key to it is you're throwing all this weight. Once it lands, and you do your count in the swift water, once you start stripping it, it stops sinking. So like I said, so it gets to where you need to be fast, and then she's got one called the fried okra. It's more of like it's got a deer head on it, and I don't know. It's the same way. She weights it a little different. She puts weight a little further back, and
Huh.
obviously it's got dumbbell eyes. And she does a little something different on the tail, on the second
Okay.
articulation. And I laughed at it at first because you would think I was like, that's just wasting a lot of time doing that but it builds body. Oh, and
Yeah.
it's pretty sweet. Then she's got one called like the little Dixie,
Yeah.
and we use it because it's super small. It's a fish skull, and we fish it for smallmouth, and our smallmouth feed on like size 6, and a lot of people will say that's small, but
That's small for you.
yeah, we're fishing like 1/0 and 2/0 stuff for stripers. So yeah, a size 6 to us is a dry fly.
Okay. In the kitchen sink. What's in the kitchen sink? Maybe what's not in the kitchen sink, I'm guessing.
So it's got zonker strips, obviously like schloppen, chenille. Man, there's so much stuff in. I'm just gonna be honest. I don't tie her patterns because I'm lazy. I'm a guide, so
Ah.
I want to tie like Freelex and things like that that are super fast.
Yeah.
So I tie like she'll tie her stuff, which that's all we fish. But like if I've always got we've got drawers and drawers and drawers of just Krelex. I don't tie dungeons. They take too long for me. Can I do it? Yeah, but she does all the stuff like that. I like the simple stuff like Conehead, like Sluggos,
Okay.
Krelex, Sparkle Minnows.
Those work too.
They work too, and I have them tied just for like if she doesn't have anything, like if we've used up all our flies, and I gotta just grab some stuff to guide with. Krelex is always gonna work.
Acrylics. Okay. Would you be willing to send me some pictures of some of these special ties you guys have?
Yes, sir.
That's really nice. I've got a picture of the kitchen sink somewhere, but it might take me a while to find it.
Yeah.
People would love to see that on Instagram and Facebook. I'll put them out there for all you guys who are listening.
So I think the kitchen sink is getting ready to be featured through IGFA.
Nice.
They do like a feature on some things, and I think they're gonna. The guy talked to me about it, and I'm pretty sure in the next month or so they're gonna do a feature on it.
No kidding. Good for you guys. Getting some press. All right. So your story. You're born in this area.
Yes,
Tell
sir.
me something. There's a kind of an interesting story about the hospital you were born in, sitting on the state line.
Yeah, so I was born in Bristol,
Yeah.
and the old hospital used to sit on the Tennessee Virginia line. So just depending on which side of the room you're laying on is what your birth certificate reads.
Really, they really did. Like,
Dead
okay, he's
serious.
on the north side or the south side of the room, and you are a Virginian or you're a Tennessean.
Yep. My father was actually born at the hospital too, and he was a Virginian, and I'm a Tennessean.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah,
Huh. You guys get along okay?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
My dad's the greatest thing on the face of this planet.
Your dad?
Yeah.
Oh, super cool. Why is that? Tell us more.
He sacrificed so to me, like he always put me in front of him. So like I had a couple of friends, we'd be at their house, we'd get some soda or something, and they'd be like, "Oh man, my dad's gonna get mad because you drink." They would split the soda up for like one of my buddies. If there was a 6 pack, he got two, his mom got two, and his dad got two. And if you drank them, his dad,
Don't drink his too.
right? That was never. It was never that way at my house. If it was the last whatever and I wanted it, they would drink water. I'm very fortunate to have the parents I had because my stepmother would, no questions asked, die for me to
Wow.
this day.
No kidding.
Well, and it's really crazy because she came into my life when I was super, super, super young. And it's funny because she has horrible cancer as we speak. And
Sorry about that.
it's really good because it is responding to so her chemo was horrible. Now she had her immunotherapy,
Yeah.
which that's horrible stuff too. But the cancer is responding to it, even though it is fatal cancer. It's responding right now, which is amazing. But
Praise God.
yep.
That's awesome.
Well, me and her were talking. It's really funny because we were just talking about all kinds of things, and I was like, I've got stepsisters, and I was like, you never in my life ever made me feel any different than your own flesh and blood, and that's rare.
Yeah, that is. So pretty good childhood. What'd you do for fun as a kid?
I rode skateboards, raced motorcycles.
Yeah, way back racing motorcycles. Your parents let you do that, huh?
Yeah, they used to tell me all the time, "You're destroying your body. You better think about what you're doing." And they're like, "It's totally up to you because it's a decision you have to make." Once I got to a certain age is when I really, really started getting hurt. Once I got up into my adult, I guess,
Uh,
once I turned 18.
what were you racing? What size bikes?
I raced 125s and 250s.
Okay, so dirt bike type stuff. Is that right? Okay, so you're wiping out quite a bit then.
Oh, if you could see my X-ray of my leg, I mean, I've got like there's a screw there. Um,
Jeez.
yeah, my thumbs are like if you look, one is literally shorter than the other. There's a pin right there, or
Man.
right there. Yeah, I messed
Jeez.
my body up pretty good. I broke my jaw, my nose.
Did you hit a tree or something?
No, so I raced motocross. So
Oh.
you just jump big jumps and
Wow, you did that?
oh dude, you make big mistakes and you're just like,
ooh,
it's all over.
What do you think in midair when you go on this jump isn't going well? What's going through your mind?
As soon as you're going up the face of the jump, you know whether you're going to make it or not, just because of you're committed and you look behind you to see how many people are getting ready to land on you.
Yeah, right.
That's the truth.
Is that what you're most worried about? Not your landing, but guys landing on you.
That hurts. That's how I saw a little boy at Muddy Creek right over here.
Yeah.
They've got a memorial. It was his first race. They put him in the wrong practice. He crashed on the back of a dragon's back, and these kids were jumping it. And I mean, you're in sixth gear, wide open. You can't stop. And he went to stand up. The wreck didn't hurt him at all.
Oh.
The kid landed on him and killed him.
God. So when did you, I mean, was that enough to cause you to stop, or when did you stop?
I stopped. I got hurt really bad, and I could not recover from it. Like, I tried to ride a little bit after it, but I got to the point to where I was like, I like nice cars. I had a good job, and I had to make a decision between, do I want to ride my dirt bike and do this, or do this, because I was at the point to where they're like, you're getting hurt too much and you're missing too much work.
Oh, okay. And running out of places to put screws, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So I was like, I just made the point. And literally, I tried to ride a track after I'd really got hurt, and I rode the track my whole life, and I was just like, I can't. It's not worth it. I was like, I'm afraid I'm gonna get hurt worse.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I think I brought up a motorcycle once to my wife, and she's like, not if you want to stay married to me.
Now we had street bikes. Like, I rode, like, I was an addict. I had cross rockets, wrecked that one really, really good. Didn't like that either.
Pavement's hard, huh?
Yeah, it'll eat you up, but I'll never forget it because I ordered this helmet and my dad's like, how much did you pay for that? And I'm like, $1,000. And he's like,
Oh.
what's $1,000 helmet do versus like a couple $100 helmet? And I'm like, open casket.
It's worth. You don't skip on a helmet. Is that what you're saying?
Right. I was like,
gosh.
you'll just be able to display my head a whole lot better. When I get
Yeah, right. Hopefully get the helmet off you if they're putting you. We don't want to go there. All right. What's the best advice you've ever gotten?
In life or from fishing?
You pick.
The best advice I ever got in life was my father told me to keep X amount of every dollar that I made for myself.
You mean save money?
Yes.
How about that?
He was like, no matter what, he's like, this is what I want you to do. And he's like, the government gets this much, bills go to this much, you're going to spend this much. But he's like, you need to take X amount and say this. And he told me the amount. I'm not going to say it, but
yeah.
He was like, and you need to keep this for yourself.
There you go.
And save it.
That's smart.
Yes.
What's a perfect day on the water for you look like?
2000 CFS. Whether I fish or not, that's an amazing day.
2,000. How about you like bright sun? You like cloud cover, a little rain? What do you like there?
Now, I'm not gonna lie, here lately it's been like it's 98 today.
Oh,
It was
really?
hot. Yes, it
Woo.
was hot on the water, and the boat is aluminum, and I got black floors put in it,
Oh,
like
yeah.
the Eva foam. Oh man, and just me and
Cooking.
a couple of buddies were fishing, and it was roasting. So, but rain don't. Honestly, I fish we fish when it's snowing. We fish when the only way I'm not fishing is when it's lightning.
There you go. Does the 98-degree heat, I mean, are the fish going deep and not biting? Does it affect the bite? Because your water's, it's a tailwater, right? So you've got what, 56-degree water at some point?
50 degrees probably today. When it's flowing 2,000 CFS, it's in the low 50s,
Oh, wow. Nice.
depending on how far you are. So it keeps the river healthy. The fish stay happy.
So do your flows jump up in the summer for air conditioning and energy demands? Is that what's going on?
On the South Holston,
Yeah.
they run like an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening.
That's it? Like totally predictable then.
Yep, it's
Wow.
horrible. It's horrible.
Why don't you like that?
So I like for them to run wide open all day long
Ugh.
because that's big fishing. So I have to alternate and I'll go down. So I fished from South Holston Dam and Wilbur Dam to the steam plant in Rogersville, which is I mean, if you drive it, you're probably talking 2.5 hour drive.
Oh, really? I thought it was just like 13 miles of water. It sounds longer than
Now
that.
that's just the trout.
Okay.
The trout water is 13 miles. So you have the Watauga's 19 trout water. The South Holston is 13 trout water. Then it turns into Boone Lake. Then Boone Lake dumps into Fort Henry Reservoir.
Ah, okay.
Then Fort Henry Reservoir dumps all the way down to where the North Fork and the South Fork meet, which creates the Holston proper is what they call it.
Oh, okay. You're down there then.
Oh, I fish all the way to Rogersville. Like it's crazy. But once you get past, there's a Lowhead Dam at Eastman below Fort Patrick Henry Dam. It's pretty much smallmouth, striper, and hybrid.
Okay.
And once you get down into Rogersville, it changes. You got like largemouth. It's a wider variety of species. I fish the whole thing though. Like I go to where the water's at. Even with clients, if they want trout, you're like, sorry, we'll catch big fish, but we ain't
Today
catching
is not a trout day.
right.
So it's conditions permitting. We're going to go trout fishing.
Correct.
Interesting. Let me ask you this. We kind of got into this earlier, but what is trout fishing? What does it mean? Let's just say fly fishing. What does fly fishing mean to you? What is it giving you?
So it's really funny. I grew up like I spin fished when I was a little child. I don't think that our river should be strictly fly fishing, even though that's all
Yeah.
I do. 'Cause so many like single mothers or single parents can't afford to take their children fly fishing. So there's a place for it. But fly fishing to me is a happy place. Like there's something about I'm searching for fish, and there's something about taking a client with a fly I tied or she tied and just making magic happen because you're taking deer hair and Christmas tree tinsel and mimicking a live fish and actually making it happen. And it's special when it all comes together. To me, it's gratifying. Like I've got a local guide here that says he's a streamer guide, and it's great because all these people are booking him because he's not as much as me, but they're like, well, we booked a streamer trip and we ended up, spin fishing the entire time.
Oh,
And then they end up having to book me, and I'm just like, it's great because he's good for business.
because you're gonna do fly fishing then. What got you into fly fishing?
So it just started blowing up here, and the original thing that started was my father. My first fly rod was a Shakespeare, and it had the little lever that would
Yeah,
automatically
yeah,
reel the line up.
the automatic reels. Yeah.
So my father got me that, and I was little, and I was curious since then. But once I really got hurt on the motorcycles, and life sort of changed, I was like, I've crashed my body. I've had so much adrenaline rush and everything like that. I could go to peacefulness and serenity, and
Okay.
that's what it does.
No kidding. That's fantastic. Oh my gosh. Do you make a shore lunch for your clients?
I do.
What's your favorite shore lunch?
You're gonna laugh.
Hit me.
Bologna sandwiches. I
Bologna, come on
love
now.
yeah. So we try to do it. So we're actually a little more careful. We've always been careful. You always have to be clean and everything like that. But a client actually sued another company
Yeah.
and won because they got food poisoning.
Sued? You can sue
Yep.
over four. Okay.
Yep. I was like, really? And they
Yeah.
won. And I mean, it wasn't a large sum. It was like I think $5,000 to $7,000. But
So bologna, is this like the real thick deli bologna, or is this like Oscar Mayer's pre-cut?
oh no, all my meat I go to. There's a shop, a butcher shop in Boones Creek, Tennessee, right down the road here, and they used to buy our cattle off this farm I'm sitting on right now, and my grandfather-in-law decided to. He got old and just quit farming, and so I get all my meat from there. I get like bologna. They got all kinds of cheeses,
Okay.
ham, ribs, steaks, pork chops, everything. If you look at one of Ken Tanaka's videos he does with me, Wish for Fish, I take him in there, and he was impressed. So
Was he? Okay. If Ken likes it, it's got to be good.
oh, it's really funny because Ken makes fun of me because he's like, everywhere I take him, I'm like, this is the world's best. It's best. So we've got like a barbecue place here called Ridgewood Barbecue.
Yeah.
To me, it's the best in the world. But I grew up on it. I mean,
Yeah,
it was there when I was a little child. The family that owned it still owns it. Nothing's changed about it. It's great.
That's super. All right, so that's one spot. Like, where else would you tell your clients to go, like at the end of the day on the water with you for a bite to eat and something to drink?
So Pals is if you want to go fast food, you got to try Pals because you can't go in and eat it, but it's specifically geared to this area. They're super clean. They designed their kitchens to where they can spray them down. They're super easy to manage.
Is the food any good?
Their food is amazing.
Yeah, what kind of food is it?
So you can get either hot dog. Ken ate there. Ken he eats there too. So you get hot
Okay.
dogs or hamburgers or chipped ham sandwiches, which are amazing.
All right, that sounds good. What do you love about Tennessee?
It's my home. I could not. So I've been obviously when I was in the motorcycle scene.
Yeah.
We used to go everywhere and watch them race, and so I've been to like Las Vegas. I've been to California, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Pennsylvania, West Virginia. I've pretty much been everywhere, Indianapolis,
There you go.
and just this is my home. Like I wouldn't want to go if I know this is crazy, but if I was going to go anywhere else, the White River, Cotter, Arkansas, that is Bluff City, Tennessee to me on a smaller scale.
Yeah. Some good fishing.
Have you ever been to Carter?
Oh, yeah. A couple times.
865 population. That's my type of town.
So, yeah, we had a guy, I'll tell you a quick story. We had a guy who we were fishing, and he didn't bring his phone, so he didn't have a GPS, and there were two of them, and we all went home, and it's like 10 o'clock at night. We're back at our cabin, and we're like, where's Kevin? And everyone's like, I thought you had him. It's like, no, I thought you had him, and we could not find these guys. So we're like, we get back in the car, and we're, oh my gosh, we're driving around Cotter, Arkansas at like 11 o'clock at night. There was like one light hanging from a pole in that town, and that is it. And like you said, there wasn't a human being in sight anywhere. It's just like population 68. And we finally found them sitting in their car in front of Dally's. And I guess he was a Boy Scout. And they tell you, if you get lost, don't keep walking around.
Right.
And they were mad at us for a while. You left us. And I said, well, you guys are adults. I mean, come on. You left your phones back at the cabin. I did feel bad, but anyway. Yeah, so that's my Cotter, Arkansas story. Oh, man. Well, I tell you, my experience down there in your area, because I've been to Johnson City, and I haven't been on the South Holston, I've been on Watauga, it's just absolutely beautiful down there. Like, those mountains are really amazing.
Yes.
Absolutely gorgeous. And I can't imagine what it looks like in the fall.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, man, good to have you on the show, Jason. Thanks for doing this.
Well, thank you for having me, sir.
Yeah. All right, so how can people get in touch with you if they want to book a trip?
FlyingSoho.com, or follow me on Instagram at FlyingSoho, or Flying Soho on Facebook, or Jason McReynolds on Facebook.
Okay. You posting some of those big fish from time to time?
I do. It's really crazy. I'm 49 and I'm not into the social media stuff, and my captions are awful. And my buddies are like, dude,
spice it up.
Yeah, well, they're like, we know you catch all these big fish, and they're like, you don't post as much as you should. And I'm just like, man, it's just too much work.
It is a necessary evil, though. You could, I don't know. I get a lot of listeners on social media, but yeah. Hey, I wish you extraordinary success in all your adventures to follow, Jason. And thank you so much for being on the show. Folks, thanks for listening. We'll post a bunch of pictures that Jason sent me of some of these great fish he's catching, the beautiful scenery, and some of those fly picks he was talking about, like the kitchen sink, on Facebook and Instagram. As always, you can DM me or email me with comments and suggestions at shaig@destinationanglerpodcast.com. If you like the show, we would really appreciate it if you could share it with a buddy. As always, our music is by our Brothers Fountain. Hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you again soon. Tight lines, everybody.
Well, I'll go from the land to the shining sea. But I know there's more to life than what the eye can see. Yeah.